there is smoke pouring out of the Pentagon.
Looking at the site of where this plane came down.
Perhaps the most devastating attack in modern history, September the 11th, 2001, left much to be reflected on. It was a day which saw 4 passenger-filled airliners crash into various monuments and landmarks in a precise and coordinated strike on the US.
There was another one. We just saw another one.
9/11 occurred in the infancy of the digital age. It was one of the first major events not just covered by the media, but also the people. This resulted in thousands of photos and videos that captured some truly horrific scenes. So, here are 5 of the most chilling moments of 9/11 that were caught on camera. Number 5. Mike Kehoe. Firefighter Mike Kehoe was 36 years old when this snap was taken of him climbing up the North Tower. His aim was to reach the impact zone on the 93rd floor, along with crew members from his Engine 28 Ladder 11 firehouse. Mike entered the tower shortly after 9 AM and had reached the 28th floor when this photo was taken by a civilian who was descending the long staircase. This photograph has always given me chills. The empty look in the firefighter's eyes, with the knowledge he faces almost certain death, really highlights the gravity of the situation many people were in that day. When the South Tower collapsed, all firefighters in the North Tower were told to evacuate by the fire chief. This allowed Kehoe to race down the building and escape just 3 minutes before the North Tower fell. He was unharmed and is still alive to this day. Number 4. Austin Sansone. 4-year-old Austin Sansone was out sightseeing with his mother when this photo was taken along the West Side Highway. It is believed that the image in question was snapped moments after the first plane hit the North Tower. As you can see in the background, most people are unaware of the events unfolding behind them, which gives a good indication of the explosion being recent. Smoke bellows from the top of the World Trade Center as the young Austin poses for the camera. The sheer innocence of this scene is what gives me chills. When you put it into perspective, we have a 4-year-old boy who was supposed to be sightseeing with his parents in arguably the most famous city in the world. In reality, he has a front row seat to one of the most horrifying events in history. Far too much for a child his age to comprehend. Number 3. Marcy Borders. Marcy Borders was a bank clerk who was working on the 81st floor in the North Tower at the time of the 9/11 attack. After the plane struck, her boss told her to stay in the building, but she defied his request and fled down a stairway into the lobby of an adjacent building. Here she was snapped by photographer Stan Honda, covered in dust and debris. This image became one of the most iconic photographs related to 9/11 and led her to be labelled as the Dust Lady. Sadly, Marcy struggled to regain stability in her life after that day. In the later years, she wrestled with drug addiction, alcohol, and depression, as well as losing custody of her 2 children. She was diagnosed with stomach cancer in August 2014 and died in August 2015 of the disease at the age of 42. Before her death, she stated that her cancer was contracted from the amount of dust she inhaled on 9/11. It just goes to show that even 14 years on, the attack was still claiming lives. Number 2. Kevin Cosgrove phone call. Kevin Cosgrove was an insurance business executive working in the South Tower at the time of the attack. After the North Tower was hit, it is believed Cosgrove began descending the staircase of the South Tower when it was also struck by a plane. The impact blocked off the route down to the ground, forcing Cosgrove to ascend back up to the 105th floor. Here is where he rang 911 responders, pleading for their help as smoke filled the room he was in. Shockingly, during this call, the South Tower collapsed and the final screams of Cosgrove can be heard on the line. Be advised, this recording is distressing, and I advise you don't listen if you are easily upset.
How the hell are you going to get my ass down? I need oxygen. They have a lot of apparatus on it. You guys are free acting, lady. You get them in from all over. They go in from Jersey. I don't give a shit how high. Okay, so what's your last name? Mine's Cosgrove. I must have called about a dozen times already. Cosgrove. Yeah, my wife thinks I'm all right. I called her and said I was leaving the building. I was fine, and bang. Very sorry to get back to that. Well, I want to... Hold on. Yeah. Kelly. Get back to you, man. Doug Kelly, you said, right? Yeah. Doug Kelly's next to me. 105. Who's office? John Ashford's office. That's what you said. That's the office. We're in John Ashford's office. OST. A-R-U. A-R-U. Right. That's the office we're at. There's three of us in here. OST. A-R-U. A-R-U. Hello? Hello? We're looking at financial center. Three of us, two broken windows. Oh, God!
Cosgrove's remains were found in the rubble and buried in Huntington, New York. Number 1. Falling together. Whenever I think about 9/11, I don't remember the planes or the buildings. My instant thought is of the jumpers. People who were trapped and in the upper floors of the towers with no other option but to escape the heat. This image is at number 1 for the heartbreaking circumstances surrounding it. Here we have 2 World Trade Center workers holding hands while falling from the South Tower after it had been struck by the second plane. One cannot imagine the ultimatum presented before them. Do they stay and burn alive, or jump to their deaths? Whatever happened, they exited this world together with the comfort of each other. No jumpers were identified in the year after 9/11, intensifying the mystery behind this photo even more. What would you do if you were in this situation? Remember to subscribe if you enjoy my videos and comment what you would like to see in the future.